crazy little book page where I talk about books and the pages in them. So today is FriYay, and I have a book haul for you all. And these are the books that I got in March. There weren't very many that I received in March, but we'll just go through them and we'll see what I got, and I'll tell you a little bit about them. So the first book that I want to talk to you about that I got in March, well, I didn't really get it first in March, but these aren't in any particular order, is Owl Crate's Book of the Month, Heart of Iron. And look at, I still am in love with this copy of it. It's so beautiful. This is about a girl named Anna who's in space, and she is a scoundrel and an outlaw, and she's found as a child drifting through space with a sentient android called D09. So it's very reminiscent of the Anastasia story from Disney, or the Russian Anastasia story where she's an orphan, etc., etc., and she's just trying to find her place in life and space, I guess. So I was very excited to get this because it has been on my radar since it was announced that it was coming out, and I have been interested in wanting to read this. So that was the first book that we got in March. The next two books I got in March are from my friend Brittany over at Brittany King Books. I started following her on Instagram. We became instant friends, and we've talked a lot off and on. So the first book is from her Water trilogy, and that is Water Under the Bridge. And this is basically about a guy who's supposed to put a hit on her and then doesn't end up doing that, and a girl who literally is also a hitman or steals people's money and then kills them, but they're like bad people, and it just tells their story from alternate perspectives. And there's 3 books in this series. This is the first one. The next book that I got from Brittany was called The Social Affair, and this is about a woman who meets a couple in a coffee shop that she works at, and then automatically goes home, looks them up on Facebook, and how that can affect your life. And I'm excited to read this because I've heard great things about it. So that was the second book I got from her in March. The next 2 books I got were sent to me by review. The first one was sent to me by the author, and that was The Sheriff's Catch, which is a #1 in a pentology called the Sasana I can't say it, Sasana Stone pentology, and it's by James Vella-Barton. And from what I can gather of this, it is a book about a person who is trying to avenge the murder of his wife, but he's captured and sold as a galley slave. So as the ship that he's captured for starts sailing to England, there's trouble. So he finds himself ashore in Ireland, and it's being terrorized by English troops, so that the natives called Sassenachs. So his faint hopes of survival appear dashed when he is captured by a brutal sheriff who has orders from Dublin to torture and kill all Spanish hideaways or castaways. So he escapes with this ring worth a ransom for the king. So it's basically a mystery like the Robert Langdon mysteries. So I was really interested in that because I really like those kind of books. So we'll have to see how this goes. Again, that's The Sheriff's Catch by James Vella-Barton. And the next book I was sent for review was called The Summer of Broken Things, and I'm already about like 15% into it. And this is about 2 girls who they used to be friends, and then the one girl, Avery, her dad brings along this girl, Kayla, who she used to be friends with, on a trip to Spain, and they find out a secret that their families have been keeping since basically they were born, like their entire lives. So this is a book about how their lives intertwine and are affected by that secret. And I just really like the premise of this book, and it's by Margaret Peterson Haddix, and it comes out on the 10th of this month. And I'm just so excited to finish it because it is so good so far. I just started it yesterday and I read 50 pages. So that's pretty good for me because I only read it over like 40 minutes and I read 50 pages. So that tells you how good this book is so far. And that book is by Margaret Peterson Haddix, and it was sent to me by Simon & Schuster Canada. The next two books I received I got from Amazon, and that is Animal Farm, which I've already read since getting it in March, and it is literally a allegory about the Russian Revolution, but it's set in England. And it follows these animals who take over the farm that they're on and kick all the humans out, and they end up making their own farm, and a lot of things go down. It's only 94 pages, so it only took me like a day and a half to read it because I didn't read it all in one setting. But it was a really good book. I'd already read the next book I'm going to show you, so I wanted to get on reading this because I've heard great things about it, but I had never read it. And the next book I picked up from Amazon was 1984 by George Orwell. This is also by George Orwell. And this is basically about Big Brother and how it stares out from everybody and it monitors you, and it's very reminiscent of today's times, even though it was written in 1947 is when this was wrote. So it's very reminiscent of today's times, and I just wanted to give it a reread because I really enjoyed it in high school, and I just wanted to see if I still would enjoy it today. And being that I really enjoyed Animal Farm, I can definitely see that I'm going to really enjoy this again when I reread it. And the next book that I got was at the bookstore actually, and that is The Upside of Unrequited by Becky Albertalli. I've heard so much stuff about this and Simon versus the Homo sapiens. However, I wanted to read this one first because I knew that Love, Simon was coming out, and it's being really hyped again, and I like to go into my books not knowing what's going to happen. So I really just wanted to read this book before Simon versus the Homo sapiens agenda. And this is about Molly, who has had a crush like 26 times, and they're never requited because she never tells them. It's always in secret. But her fear of being rejected overrules her fear of like potential joy of telling these people. So I just want to read this because it sounds like such a cute story, and I look forward to telling you guys in a review later on my channel about this book. So with that was my March book haul, and I will see you guys next time.